Hey guys, and welcome back to Making Spirituality Real with Jade. This is the tarot reading that I promised you guys in my last video when I was channeling tarot for the collective regarding the current world events, and I invite you to check out this video and my other picky cards too. And I promised you a picky card that's technically it's evergreen. It can be used anytime, even if you visit this video a year after it's been published. It's gonna be still useful to you. But I think it's especially needed to channel this message right now, because this picky card is going to be about how to deal with your fear landscape on the individual level. Now, nowadays, because the Earth's energy are going through a very intense purging and ascension process, our fears really are also kicking it up a notch. They can really manifest more strongly in our lives. And because of this, I think I should give you guys a hint on how to individually deal with your fears, because everyone deals with their fears differently. If you want to look at astrology and how to deal with your fears, how do you confront them, look to your 8th house. If you have many 8th house planets, you may have a lot of fearful thoughts. You may struggle with some really negative subconscious beliefs that burden you, and it is your karmic challenge in this lifetime to learn to live with it and overcome it. The plus side to the 8th house, to all those fears, is that it gives you psychic powers. I myself have a south node in the 8th house, and because of this I have always had an easiness channeling tarot and astrology. Now, excuse my cat who is in the other room and who is very jealous that she's not getting the attention because you guys are getting my attention and I'm working. Baby, I'm working, I can't be with you right now. No, you have to be there by yourself. Just for the record, she's fine, the animal is safe and not abused. She's just laying down on the bed and she's like, she wants to be petted, so she's like a little spoiled princess, so you know, that's what's happening. So if you hear the meowing, everything is fine. The cat is just, she wants attention, but you know, I would not be able to work if I didn't give it to her 24/7, right? Okay, so, yeah, this got me a little distracted, sorry guys. So, yes, the 8th house in astrology is the place where your fears can manifest, and the energy of the 8th house describes how the fears can manifest. Using my own example again, I have South Node in Gemini in the 8th house, so Gemini is your thought landscape, so it can really manifest to some negative thoughts that can bring you some trouble and that you have to gain control over, and you can really, like, the demon can be in the head in this instant. But for example, if you have Moon in the 8th house, these can be some very negative family patterns that you have inherited in your early family environment, because the Moon rules not only the mother but also your early emotional conditioning. So in that case, the landscape of the 8th house is programmed into your emotional subconscious, and this can be a very hard placement because technically the 8th house is the house of Scorpio, and the Scorpio is not a good place for the Moon to be. So this can be someone who struggles with a lot of emotional blockages, a lot of emotional fears. But again, it also provides with psychic powers and intuition and connection to higher dimensions. So you know, there are two sides to every placement. With every difficulty there's a gift. With every gift there's a difficulty. This is just how the universe works as per the yin and yang principle, right? Okay, so I'm gonna shuffle the cards for you right now, guys. Now, the benefit of the fact that we deal so much right now with our fear landscape is that this is the purge that's going to liberate us from our old fears and our old belief systems. I think it might be especially prominent this summer. This fear landscape can be really apparent to some of us who are from the young generation, because there's like a whole pack of us born in specific years, who are like my age, slightly younger, slightly older, who have a South Node in Gemini. And transiting Venus is in Gemini this summer, so this is Venus conjunct South Node, and when South Node energy comes up, this can also manifest as fears, and with Venus this can manifest in our relationships. The other people can literally become the mirror of our subconscious fears. But it's important to realize when this happens to you that the other person is not to blame. The other person is only an embodiment and the mirror of what you need to purge from inside yourself. So I would like you guys to also remember that when dealing with things this summer, especially if you have your own South Node in Gemini, not to blame others, but to look inside yourself and ask yourself, what is this person teaching me? And what can I learn from this person's flaws, even if ultimately in the long run they're not someone you should have in your life. This is still a teacher and a learning experience. So yeah, the temperance card just flew out. It just says, yeah, you guys keep a... I love when tarot speaks to me. It just says, you guys keep a level head. when some connections that can turn sour, can feel overwhelming, but you just have to keep a level head and remember that this is just a projection of the things that you need to deal with in this incarnation, and try not to take it personally. I know it's hard when you're really suffering, and I've been there, I get it, but just, you know, try not to take it out on others. Yeah, for sorts. Just try not to take it out on others. And yes, I will try to maybe pinpoint some placements with the 8th house that you might have given what tarot tells me. But generally, like I said, look to the house in your 8th house cusp based on your ascendant to check what sign rules your 8th house. And this is both where your thoughts, your fears can manifest, but it is also how to take control of them. Like I said before, in my case, having Gemini on the 8th house cusp, like the devil can be really in the head in the thoughts, but you can also use logic and rationality or talking it out with others, communication, and purging it through communication to feel better. So, like I said, there is an antidote in the poison, as it always is with Scorpio in the 8th house. So, Ace of Wands, there we go. Ace of Wands, so basically, I heard Spirit is telling me impulse control. So, somehow with the fears that probably are collectively being channeled to us right now, it's very important to pay attention to control your impulses. Like your fears really can just come from this impulsive, unevolved side of us. And that makes sense, you know, with the media scare, with what's happening right now in the world, with, you know, all the fears of virus and stuff. Like this can really get the best of us. But if you just control the first impulse, if you just take a breath and say, okay, step back, let's see what's actually going on here, then this should be already at least a beginning to feeling better about the things that might scare you. So, okay, so without further ado, I'm now going to pick the cards into piles and see you guys at the pile selection. Okay, so we got 4 piles today, guys. Pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. When you want to pick the pile right, take a deep breath, focus on your breathing, close your eyes, this is my personal advice. Close your eyes and try to physically envision your third eye, which is literally like in the middle of your head, in the middle of your brain, and try to see past the material reality with the third eye. And you can see one of the piles, it can be tingling, you can have an impression of a sound, you can see the light. I have seen people like get so many impressions because it all depends to how you connect with higher dimensions. So give yourself time, sometimes it can take a little bit of time. It's important to really just not pick, oh yeah, whatever, I pick this one because who cares. It's important to really take a deep breath and reconnect to yourself and to the higher dimensions. So thank you guys for listening to this intro, and please for more tarot readings and for more spiritual channel messages, subscribe to my channel. And also I offer private readings if you guys want to. There is a link to my Etsy shop down below. My Etsy shop started to take off, which makes me very happy because I love providing you guys with guidance. And if you look at the reviews, you'll see that the customers are pretty satisfied, so you can see the quality of my reading speaks for itself. And yeah, like I said, I encourage you to view more of my content or come to me for personal guidance if you find yourself in need. So I'm gonna move on to pile 1. See you there, guys. Hello guys from pile 1, these are your cards, and let's see what we're working with here when it comes to your free landscape and how to deal with it. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay, wow. Hope this is focusing well for you guys. We have the Two of Swords in reverse as well. We have a Chariot in reverse. And we have the King of Wands. There we go. Okay, so what I can tell you guys straight away is that you guys can definitely have some past life karmic intense work to do with the spread. You can have Jupiter in the 8th house, you can have Saturn in the 8th house, you can also have South Node in the 8th house like me. You can have some also Scorpio placements or very strong Pluto, because this is a very intense spread when it comes to dealing with your fears. And with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, this is definitely this is karmic energy right here. Like this is like one of the, it's one, maybe not the only one, but it's one, if not the biggest, it's one of the big challenges of your life to deal better with your fear landscape. Maybe you're someone who did not finish this task in a past life, and in this life it's important that you do so. That might be the case. The Wheel of Fortune is the hand of fate. This is something that might come to you unexpectedly, for better or for worse, but there is nothing that you can do to stop it or question it, and it is useless doing so. It is also useless to an extent to try to foresee it, to try to control it. Control is the word that I hear, and that's very true. You know, with Pluto and the 8th house in Scorpio, this can be a very controlling energy. So I feel like maybe you failed to let go of controlling your past life, pile 1. So in this lifetime, it's going to be amplified even further for you to surrender to spirit, to your own higher powers, because you have them. If you are strong in 8th house, Pluto, Scorpio, then you have many powers like this. And also to the bigger than you powers of the universe, to your connection between yourself and others and the universe. Because this card in reverse, things may keep happening to you that you might feel are unexplainable, or you just don't know why is it happening to you. You know, maybe you're just really trying your hardest in some moment, but still some things that you couldn't have predicted keep happening to you. And I know how this feels. Like this can be a really challenging moment, because I also have Pluto in the 1st house, so this is a similar kind of energy also with the prominent Pluto. It's a challenge for you to surrender, let go of control, and have faith that the universe will arrange things in your favor in the end. This is a challenge that you really need to fulfill in this lifetime, pile 1. It's imperative that you stop trying to control things or micromanaging things or getting frustrated, because the more you try to control, the more you get frustrated, the more the universe is gonna try to shake things up to keep pushing you to grow. I heard resistance is futile. Because this is just how it is, you know. If you try to resist gravity right now and try to like fly without being on a plane, that you won't be able to, because the Earth's gravity is working, and it's working to our benefit, you know. Without it, there would be no life. We would not be able to exist here on this planet. So it's not a bad thing to surrender to this force and accept its benevolence in creating life here on this planet. And it's the same here, you know. The forces of the universe, they are, even if it feels like a curse, it's always a blessing in disguise, because the universe is infinitely merciful and loving. This is a lesson that already we have learned as we are right now leaving the age of Pisces and entering the age of Aquarius. We have already learned the lessons of the universe's endless compassion. This is what the age of Pisces was teaching us. And we have already learned this lesson, but I feel like you are one of those who during this time may have not fully done that yet, pile 8. So right now you have to do it, and the lesson is gonna keep being applied until you learn. Until you learn how to trust. It's imperative that you learn how to trust in yourself, in the universe, and to let go of trying to control everything. Pile 1. It's very important. I heard you can't stop fated events. The irony is that the irony here is that if there are some fated events in your life, most probably it is your own very soul who picked them before you incarnated. So it's that kind of very contradictory thing, that you're trying to kind of stop yourself in something that you have planned, you know. This is some self-sabotage here, you know. In the end, you're going to have to surrender, and when you surrender, remember that you are surrendering to yourself, to your own soul plan. Your soul has planned this life for you for a reason before you came here, and you need to trust in your higher self. With this 2 of Swords in reverse, I think it kind of just fits so well. You need to stop fighting. You need to pick your battles wisely. This kind of makes me feel of like Mars in Scorpio or Mars in the 8th house, because the thing is that Mars is an energy that's very impulsive, quick to act, and it doesn't necessarily think through its plan, it just goes with its impulse. And whatever sign or house this energy is placed in, there we're going to have this impulsive energy that can really do things recklessly, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Now, when Mars is placed in Scorpio or in the 8th house, this is its own ruling sign and house, because Scorpio and 8th house are co-ruled by Mars and Pluto. So this brings a really powerful force to this impulse. And you can become really destructive to yourself, to others, but to yourself mostly, if you don't learn how to pick your battles wisely and harness this power. and this is what I'm seeing in this card, is that I see you going in circles and like thrashing violently. Like, I see it's kind of like a fish in a tank where it can't get out of the tank because it's in a tank, and yet it keeps bumping against those walls trying to break free. And it doesn't recognize the futility of its effort. You can be going around in circles in your head because of your incapacity to surrender. It goes very well with the previous card, with this Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Now, this can manifest in relationships. You might be argumentative with others, but it doesn't have to. The Two of Swords is this kind of energy when there are two forces of equal strength. They go in opposite directions, as you can see it on this card very clearly. One sword, the other. They are both of equal size and strength, and they just keep going in opposite directions and clashing, and neither force wants to back off because of its stubbornness. And I think that this can manifest outwardly in your relationships as a way of, like I said, of manifesting your inner state. But the battle truly is happening inside you, Pile 1. It's the battle for control and release. It's the battle for freedom versus your obstinacy. This is the two sides of you fighting, Pile 1. One side of you has the divine wisdom that it came to this planet with. You incarnated having this divine wisdom. But the other side of you, the more the ego side, the more physical earth side, is still fighting for control. But the thing is that it can't win. So you create this sort of impasse inside yourself where you essentially lock yourself in your own fears. And out of sheer obstinacy of your ego, you refuse to let go of them. And this also tells me that you really have become your own worst enemy, Pile 1, in this department. So what is the good news? The good news is that you have a lot of control, a lot of influence, a lot of power over what you can do in this lifetime with your fear landscape. Because, we always decide what to do with our placements, more or less, but sometimes with things like Saturn, for example, when you have Saturn placed in a specific way, it is going to manifest as an external block that you can do nothing about until a certain karmic release happens in your life. So it's something like a Saturn return or something of the sort. But here I feel like this is nothing of the kind. Here I feel like you can really change a lot in every second of your life. You really have a lot of power over this. This is very powerful and strong, Pile 1. This is very this is good news. Like, maybe I'm just projecting here because I like I kind of relate to you, Pile 1. Like, I get it. But it's really good when you can do so much in your life. Like, I feel like those fears here, they really can be self-imposed, or they can be self-removed, or they can only be removed by itself. You have a lot of power to change, to turn your events around, but you have to stop being so stubborn. You have to stop just fighting and just bouncing against the wall like this completely. It's futile. You're losing your energy when it could be used on something better. You're just hurting yourself, Pile 1, for no reason. And I think you know it. I think you know that it doesn't give you the relief that you so long for, but the relief that you so long for can be only found with surrender. And that is very appropriate here that we have the Chariot in reverse here, because this literally just says, let yourself be guided by the universe, your intuition, and your higher senses. You have them. Why are you so distrustful of yourself? It's okay. Because the Chariot in reverse position, it really speaks about not listening to your inner guidance. Your inner guidance that's in your own best interest. It comes from your higher spiritual self. Don't be afraid to trust yourself, your higher self, your instincts. Don't try to control and restrict things so tightly, thinking that you're safe this way. This only makes you feel less safe and more fearful. Okay, Pile 1, just between you and I, take a deep breath. You might need some extra help. First of all, if you have such strong Pluto, Scorpio energy, sports would calm you down. It would be good for you, because you can get really physically jittery, blah, 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 blah. I know that right now, as I'm filming, we are in a lockdown, so going out is hard. But if you live in an area where it's still possible, go run in a remote area in the woods where there is nothing but squirrels, and and you're not harming or contaminating anyone. Or there are really so many exercise programs available online for free. Like you can really work your butt off in your home. Like I live in a tiny studio, and still my twin flame that lives with me manages to work out and sweat her ass off inside the house. So yeah, if it's not possible for you because you don't live anywhere near some area where it's empty enough for you to be safe, you really can do a lot from home. Because I can see that it's important to release some energy, to release this frustration for you, pile 1. So you might have to do that physical movement, but also practice more spiritual, calmer forms like yoga, meditation, aligning your chakra. I'm seeing root chakra. Root chakra can be linked a lot to your fears, and I feel like your root chakra it's not blocked in your case, it's overactive, it's on fire. It's really just, it's so inflamed. You need to, like, you know, let some air breathe through it, you know? Let some air breathe through it like in a spiritual sense. So yeah, also practice like breathing deeply, calmly, slowly. And like I said, also release this excess energy so that it can help you trust the universe. And also if you have 8 house plans, you know, then spiritual practices are really important, just like if people with the 12 house plans. Spiritual practice really helps you if you have those kind of planets, you know, or if you have Scorpio placements, because it makes you realize how guided and safe you are. Like, I just know myself as someone who also has 12 house planets and Scorpio placements and strong Pluto, how lost I would be if I did not understand and feel the guidance and the overwhelming love of the universe and the trust that is going to guide me in the right direction, like this Chariot card says. I am absolutely blown away how every single one of those cards says trust and release. Every single one of them in its own way. Trust, release, and let yourself be guided. Also, I don't know if you can see it, but these 2 cards, both the Wheel of Fortune and the Chariot, they're kind of in this, there's this circle in the middle here. There's this circular energy, and this really makes me feel of you going round and round and round and just not going anywhere. By now, you don't even know what you're fighting for. You don't even know why you're trying to preserve what you're trying to preserve. It's just, you're doing it instinctively like a scared animal. You need your battles with Scorpio energy, they need to be purposeful and mindful, and you may feel like it made sense someday, but it doesn't make sense anymore, pile 1 for you. You need to let go of this inner battle, of this inner futile struggle that does not lead you anywhere. And then when you release in this way, you will see your fears also calm down together with you. Because this is where your fears come in your case from pile 1. They come from really from you, from you refusing to let go. I think also this Chariot in reverse has a positive message. Like, honestly, it's going to sound ironic, but I think you have worn yourself down so much with all this running in circles, which is why you might seek guidance from tarot or from spiritual coaches, because you have worn yourself down. I have felt this sense of tiredness with this Chariot in reverse. And, you know, this is one way of going at it, I guess, as long as it works, you know. Like, I feel like you're really so tired in your mind from these futile battles, like I said. And this is a good step, because it's a good step that makes you realize that maybe fighting is not the answer. But as you recover your energy, use it wisely. Don't make the same mistake again, pile 1. Don't make the same mistake, because I can see how you have really made yourself unhappy with this Chariot card. Your disconnection with the higher forces of the universe has really made you unhappy. And you don't need that, pile 1. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be different, and the power lies within you. I heard also that you might feel a bit overwhelmed, but guess what? You overwhelmed yourself, like literally here. You overwhelmed yourself running around in circles. So again, like I said, that's good news, because that means you can get out of the situation, or whatever is making you feel bad, whatever futile attempts at fighting are making you feel bad. Now, the last card we have here is the King of Wands, and the Wands, they are fire energy. And this talks to me again about impulse control and impulse mastery. So it's important for you. Your fears, there can be some impulsive energy, so maybe some first house Aries energy. Or Pluto plays in the first house because the first house is very impulsive. Or maybe like me, Scorpio ascendant, something to do with Aries or the first house. maybe your Mars is making some sort of square aspect. Maybe Mars in Aries in the 8th or Mars in Scorpio in the 1st. There is an element of impulsivity here that I see, that's somehow playing into your fear landscape. This makes sense with this Two of Swords, you know. Like, maybe you're easily provoked in some way. You're easily provoked, and because of this lack of impulse control, you feel more easily drained. It makes you more tired. And then, you know, you go back over it over and again. And because of this impulse control, you just might feel more scared inside. But the thing is that with the impulse, it's kind of important to deal with it as soon as possible, to kind of kill it before it sprouts, you know. And the King of Wands, he knows how to do that, you know. So this is something that you're being called to do, pile 1. To master this fiery energy. That's why I said that it would be good for you to to have some physical activity, because it's going to help you channel all this fiery impulse energy, you know. Because honestly, you might be this kind of person who is like all talk and all brave on the surface, but once they are left alone, they are really consumed by their fears. And when this happens, you might feel alone because you feel like you can't expose it to others, but then you really struggle with your inner demons, and then you go out again and you behave even worse because no one was there for you when you were struggling. It's a paradox. Again, it's a circle. It's you running around in circles. So you can break the circle by practicing some impulse control, and then you will see that your fears will subside. Because here, the fear landscape really is one that you have some influence over, as I said, to a huge extent. So like I said, that's really great. You really are the master of this fiery, impulse-driven energy, pile 1. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you for staying with me for this reading, and please subscribe to my channel. And please watch my other tarot readings that I have on this channel, as well as my other spiritual videos. Please subscribe and give this video a like. And I really, you know, I root for you. I hope that that you can deal with this energy, because, you know, it's really powerful. It can be overwhelming, and I get it, but if you have this kind of energy inside you have the power to harness it, because the universe never gives you tasks that you can't accomplish. So that means that you can do it. Bye bye, pile 1. Hello, pile 2. This is your reading. So let's see what cards Tarot has for you today. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Nine of Wands, the Fool in reverse, and the Hangman. It's very appropriate. You know what, guys, I'm so happy I did this reading, because I can see that those who will be guided to this reading, they need it desperately. And I can see it by the cards that are just coming out. Now, this is a different energy from the previous group. Your fears are of a completely different flavor. Here I'm seeing someone who has more tendency to be neurotic in this intellectual way, more in this Virgo way, because we have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and that's earth energy, that's more of a practical energy. This is really someone who can just overthink themselves to death. So maybe Virgo in the 8th house, or Gemini in the 8th house like me, but there's just this strong, nervous, mercurial energy. And then we have the Fool in reverse, which is very appropriate, you know. So just to clarify this, I'm kind of starting from the middle with this Fool in reverse, because the Fool is our spirit of cosmic joy and about flowing freely with the vibes of the universe and being happy, being unconcerned, being just free in this childlike way. Now, there are both good and bad sides to it, you know, like a Fool in a negative context, it can make you careless, it can make you make the wrong decisions without thinking them through. Here we have the Fool in reverse. This is someone who could use a little bit more spontaneity. This is someone who needs to let go, but they might be keeping something very tightly under the belt. It's very funny how fears are always linked to control, but like I said, it's the 8th house. So here there really is this control of being afraid of letting go. But not letting go in a spiritual and trusting sense, but letting go in a more material, intellectual, mercurial way. It's like this person who could really like going to a party and getting really drunk, maybe even ending up sleeping with somebody because they would do them good. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, if you have this kind of experience, it would do you good. There's just some, maybe it's your image that you care about. there's just, there's a stifled inner child here. And with such a stifled inner child, must have come from your early environment. Maybe one of the parents was very strict and so they discouraged your spontaneity. In which case, I'm very sorry, I know how that feels and that's not nice, but it is now up to you as an adult to deal with that for your own happiness. And I feel like you might be the kind of person who might try to drown yourself in work and practical obligations and just keeping busy, keeping the brain busy, not to look at what you are most afraid of. You know that it's just right there, brewing under the surface. You know it's there, like a shadow in the corner that you can see out of the corner of your eye, but you refuse to look at it. And you bury yourselves with tasks and with those restrictions. Here they are very material. The previous group was more spiritual, psychological restriction. Here is very material. You restrict yourself, maybe even you may even be very controlling towards others in this practical way, especially if you work with them. Or in some way towards yourself, you just you refuse to let go, because you know that if you would let go, you would have to let in all those things and the scary ones as well. And they just seem too big and bad and dark for you to even look at them in the first place. And I feel like you might really try to stick to this materialism to keep things safe. But I got some bad news for you, Pale 2, you won't be able to anymore. We are really entering a more spiritual time. And this is going to call you to let go of those preconceived notions of materialism that you have. You don't even really believe in them. You have only erected them as safety walls so that you wouldn't have to face how afraid you are of some things. And you know, I get that if someone mocked you or treated you badly in your childhood, you can retreat within yourself. You can retreat and close off this more innocent, childlike, spontaneous part of yourself so that it would never be hurt again. But living like this, you live in a prison. And this creates fears, because fear comes from your own resistance to yourself, to the good parts of yourself. Maybe there's even some Chiron energy here. Chiron in the 4th house, maybe something that wounded you so deeply that you locked yourself away. But you can feel that it's there and you can never quite go away from it. Even if you're trying to go through your life half blind, it's just not going to work. And with this I think that this whole corona situation can be maybe freaking you out, because it's you have to either work from home, or maybe you can't even work at all. You have to stay by yourself a lot, you can't see people. And this might really trigger you, but believe me, this is for your own good, Pile 2. You need to be unblocked. And the universe is, even if you're suffering right now, the universe is doing this in your favor. It's going to unblock you just the way you need to be. You know, it makes me think of, I don't know if you have ever seen things like, if you've seen movies that deal with the human subconscious, like Vanilla Sky or Mulholland Drive. These are both movies that deal with the dream landscape in the human subconscious. And in both those movies, the main characters, they are in a dream, and they are trying to dream this dream to relieve the pain and the suffering of the life that has befallen them. But the thing is that even the dreams are not safe, as it is proved in those movies. The dreams are not safe because subconsciously they know what's really going on. So the dreams become nightmares because the subconscious can never be fully of what has happened to them. And that is exactly how I see you, Pile 2. You may try to bury it under the mountain of paperwork, but it's right there, lurking just around the corner, and you can't escape from it. And you know that you can't. And it's scaring you more than anything else. Now, I have some good news for you right now. Once you actually take a leap, allow yourself to be less afraid, take that risk, it will be much easier than you anticipated. You are of the sort where the fear of the fear is worse than the fear itself for you. Once you actually start dealing with the problem, you might notice that it's not as bad as you thought it would be. Okay, so the worst stage for you is right now. Is for you being so afraid to look at it. It's like, you know, turning on the light to shine light in the shadow, and it turns out it was a plush toy, not a scary monster, you know. This is this kind of thing happening here. But you need to have this courage to turn on the light first. This is what the universe is asking of you. This channel message came in very strongly, you guys. Like, I cannot read these cards collectively without pouring over a single one of them, maybe besides the Fool. But it just really poured towards me, so I guess this is how it was supposed to be. Well, we can thank the Spirit for, you know, for delivering this beautiful message and channeling it through me. But now I'm going to look at the cards a bit more individually also to see if there are any extra messages for you guys. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is speaking about you burying yourself with those practical tasks that I told you about. But since it's in reverse, it speaks about how you're fighting a losing battle, because the Knight is what a Knight is. It fights, it conquers, it pursues. And Pentacles are practical manners, so you might be one of those people who makes an illusion of progress but doesn't make any. So maybe you may be very hard working at a job, but you are not feeling it. You don't care about your profession, your calling. You're just doing anything to just keep yourself busy. And this new goal, this new achievement, this new another meeting, another day in the office or home office right now, it keeps you in this state of comfortable inertia. But the thing is that if you are here this reading, you already know that this is not okay. You know this is not okay because, you know what, working is okay. Like, I get you, like, by nature I'm a complete workaholic, and it's just, you know, when I'm too tired to work, I just, you know, it took me a lot of time to forgive myself for even being too tired to work in the first place sometimes. So I really get you, Pile 2. I know how that feels, but you have to make sure that you're working for the right reasons. And that's the problem here. To you, the work here has become an escape. An escape from what you are so afraid of. Your own emotions, your own fears, some things that you need to confront. So the first step for you to confront them is you need to stop this. You need to stop working yourself to the bone just to escape it. Like, I get it, if you have a job, then, you know, this is, and you don't have a choice, I'm not telling you to quit it. But you may be staying overtime. You may be working on weekends. You may just be doing whatever to bury yourself in something, to forget how you feel. And this is the problem here. It's not about your work, it's about how you treat your work, and you are using it as an addiction, as an escape. And this is putting you in... inertia is the word I use, and it's the first one. It's just putting you in a state where you're not really accomplishing anything in your life, where there's no real progress. And this is what this card is speaking about, Pile 2. And the Nine of Wands is exactly what I said, Pile 2, is that the universe is not going to allow you to continue this any longer. The universe is going to intervene. Somehow we know with all these heavy aspects of Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn happening, and the Saturn going into Aquarius for a few months this year and then full on next year, in your immediate future you will be forced to change something. You can expect some changes. You may literally just feel like something in your life is on fire. Like maybe you may, for reasons unrelated to you, you might lose this job that you hold on so dearly to for your sanity, which in fact is not, but for the illusion of sanity more like. But maybe the company is closing down because of Corona or something like this. Something is going to push you out of the state. The universe is done waiting for you to move, probably because it knows that you wouldn't by yourself. Something that you're doing here, this habit that you keep, is going to be broken. And even if you feel like this is really bad, this is actually the best thing that could happen to you. This is freeing you from this self-imposed prison. And in the next card we have a reply of why this has to happen. Because you have forgotten your more spiritual side. You have buried it so deeply out of fear. You have forgotten that you can be free. Like you should in the Fool card. So like the universe is literally just calling you on the carpet here and being like, no, this is not good. And you can be like, but wait a second, I work so hard. But no. You know as well as I do that this is not okay. And the thing is that, you know, people are animals. We really have instincts that we don't even realize how powerful they are. And I think you can smell this coming. You're afraid, and your first instinct is to stop this and to go back to this, but absolutely not, because that would keep you stuck in the same loop. So when this change happens, the best way to deal with this is to embrace it and to ask yourself what this change is showing me, how is it making my life better? How can I make it better? And then this change may confront you with your fears, like I said. Take this forced purge as an opportunity to really turn your life around. It's a gift from the universe, trust me. Now, with the Fool card in reverse, like I said, besides what I said about you need to be free, this shows how unhappy inside you have become, Pile 2. Like, this is keeping you safe, but it's also keeping you extremely unhappy. Very unhappy. Pile 2 is just... your inner child is crying in the corner, it's dissatisfied. And this also says that you could have been making some bad decisions because of that. You, so desperately clutching, holding on to this, you could have hurt some people, Pile 2. To protect yourself. You could have really hurt someone emotionally because of what you have become. And you don't even like what you're becoming. You don't like it, and that's because you know subconsciously that you could be free. But like I said, the universe is on your side. It's some things might have to be obliterated, but it's for your own good, Pile 2. So when you feel these fears coming up, deal with them head on. Deal with them head on. Now, what's going to help you to deal with them is the Hanged Man, and that is changing your perspective. You might be really dogmatic, as a Virgo often is always believing that they're right, and that's, you know, because they're so competent, but everyone can be right and everyone can be wrong, depending on the situation. So what could really help you when all those fears are coming up is to look at them differently, is changing your perspective. Like, you know, I gave an example of a job, but this, you know, could really be anything to you. Maybe you use dating as an escape or anything. So what's going to help you deal with your fear landscape is looking at it from a completely different perspective. So let's say, let's continue on the job example, let's say that the company has closed down because of Corona, so you no longer have a job. And your first fear is, oh my god, what am I going to do right now? This is so scary. This is horrible. But then what the universe is asking you is to be like, well, maybe this is a blessing in disguise, you know, maybe I was not happy there anyway. And suddenly it feels less scary when you realize that it's in fact a step towards you being more fulfilled in life, not a way to destroy you in any way, you know. Or maybe, like I said, you just kept returning to a toxic relationship, whether that be friendship or romantic, because it made you feel safe, at least on the surface. And then the relationship ends. And you're like, oh my god, I'm alone, I can't be alone. While the Hanged Man is asking you to take the opposite perspective and say, I'm free. I might be without this person, but that only makes me more free. And I have the whole world to find something that's good for me this time. So what's, like I said, going to help you deal with your fear landscape is really trying to look at things from a different perspective. Do it as an experiment, if not anything else. Some attitude adjustment here is really necessary, Pile 2. This Hanged Man also tells me that, in a way, you know how stuck you have been. This Hanged Man just... You realize about this inertia that's been in your life. You know that it's been the case. You just know it. And yet you hold on to it because you're scared. And this Hanged Man just really shows the state of suspicion. You're going back and forth, really aimlessly at the same time. But like I said, with you looking at things from a different perspective, it's really going to readjust your life. And yeah, like I said, because you so obstinately were clinging to some things, you might have to sacrifice something to just do better in your life. Which is why there's this Nine of Wands, this destruction, this like a forest fire. But the trees, they had fungi that could, you know, infect the rest of the forest, so they had to burn. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't be afraid to invite the new, Pile 2. Don't be afraid to break out of the cycle. Don't be afraid to flip this around. Don't be afraid to go a little wild with the Fool card. Okay, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you, Pile 2. Like, opening your mind can be difficult if you're so mercurial based, but treat it as an intellectual exercise, if nothing else. And believe me, even if something feels like it's collapsing, it's for your own good. So thank you for watching my video, and please give it a like and a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel for more tarot readings. Also look at my past ones. I have some nice predictions for 2020 and also some spiritual videos and also some astrology videos. So thank you very much for staying with me till the end. Bye bye. Hello Pile 3, welcome to your reading. Let's see what cards tarot has for you today. We have the Three of Cups in reverse. We have the Tower. Oh wow. Okay. We have the Three of Swords. This is a lot of threes here, huh? And we have the Nine of Cups. Okay, so this is the first pile where I feel that the whole fear landscape situation and dealing with it, this is very karmic. Pile 3 in your case, I would say. Pile 3, all those 3 cards, also all those synchronicities, huh? This is absolutely karmic. Like, in the other 2 piles it was more self-inflicted. Here I feel like this is definitely some karma that puts you, this may be even Saturn in the 8th house or in Scorpio, or making an aspect to your Pluto. Like, this is some unfulfilled past life karma that you are forced to address in this life. So you might have been a recipient of some trauma away from your early life, because we have the Three of Swords and then we have the Tower. So this might have been something that was like completely out of your control. And those fears really might come here as a karmic lesson from the universe, in a way. And because of this, this is going to go in sync with cycles of the universe. More than you actually making a change, this is something being unblocked karmically because of the current transit. So, well, first of all, you have a compassion pile 3, because this is because it's a difficult thing, you know, to have some karmic things happening like this. Like, anyone who has prominent Chiron, Saturn or Pluto in their chart, it can feel like this. And since my Chiron is very strong, I just know how it can be when something like really inflicts a burden on you in your early life, and then you feel like you're carrying it. And I think like pain here, it could have been so deep, pile 3, that you could have found that the only way to deal with this is to bury it, to bury those fears and not look at them. And you know what? Sometimes some things that happen to you, this is the universe even assists us in not looking at some things because it's the only way to temporarily survive. But you can do it forever, pile 3, and the moment of reckoning has come with the Tower. It's the moment to take the skeleton out of the closet and unbury those old things. It might be painful, it might be very painful, but the thing is that you will never heal, you will never move forward or find abundance until you do a little bit of emotional spring cleaning. Now, I fully understand why you might not want to look at it. You might even not even remember what has been going on, but 3 is a fated number, and then we have 3 threes in the Nine of Cups, and this is pile 3, so for some reason 3 may be a big number for you, or this is just a synchronicity for the universe to tell me that this is fated. So whatever has happened, okay, well, I can tell you, whatever has happened to you that entered your fear landscape, it's fated. Your soul picked this experience from its past life to grow in some way, probably. Which is, you know, like, it's very difficult to hear this when you have, for example, have been born into an abusive family, so, like I said, I'm sorry. But your soul has picked this growing experience. It has picked it, and now the time has come to move on to a new level. Because if you keep blocking it, no matter how hard it is, then you won't be able to find happiness. Pile 3, which you are meant to. Despite what happened to you, you are meant to find happiness in this incarnation, pile 3. And I can see it with all the Cups energy. This is, you know, you are meant to find some emotional fulfillment. But to do this, you need to face the naked truth of whatever happened to you. And right now there are so many changes going into the universe, happening in the universe, and so many strong, intense transits. This may be really triggering for you, pile 3. Now, what I can tell with this 3 of Swords is that either something was not given to you, was taken away from you, since you were very young or something was done to you. So you had to carry the burden of either emptiness in some way or destruction. You know what, I'm gonna pull an extra card for you, pile 3, because I want to see more the nature of this Three of Swords event for you. I feel like you need that. Because yeah, we have the Three of Cups in reverse, and the Tower is more the way of healing for you. Like, it's gonna be healing through destruction, but I want to clarify a little bit about what could have happened to you, so you get an extra card. Okay, King of Pentacles, okay. Father figure, male figure. I want another card. So maybe financial, practical trouble. Maybe you're an orphan and you live in foster homes. Well, not all of you, because it's a general reading, so... Maybe some material suffering from a very strict male figure, or male energy at least. There can be also very dominant female caregivers. So some hard karma here because the card did not want to fall. Oh. Six of Cups. I feel called to pull more cards for you guys. I have no idea why the tarot wants me to speak to you. Oh, okay, it's too much. No, it's raining in here. Let's chill a little bit. Oh, okay, it's enough. And you have the Five of Swords, yeah. So yeah, we have the Five of Swords, Six of Cups, more Cups energy, and the King of Pentacles. So with the Three of Swords and the Five of Swords, you might have felt surrounded. You might have felt like there was no escape, because that's essentially what's happening in the Five of Swords. You might have felt that you had to defend yourself, which would explain the Tower and what I said before. You know, you had to bury those things because you were surrounded. Maybe practically you were unable to get from a family home that was very toxic because you were young, and you know, when you're a child you can't support yourself. But now with this Tower moment, something is going to change, and this is going to be liberation through destruction. Pile 3. So this, I'm just running a scenario. Of course, it's not going to be accurate for all of you, since it's a general reading, but let's say you were born in an abusive family and you were too young, so you could not get out of the situation. Maybe there was more than one person, and you kind of felt caught in the middle of maybe your parents fighting, of people being toxic to you. But you know, in a way, a child develops a pathological attachment to pathological caregivers, because that's just how our mind is made. Then let's say suddenly they're gone, they're dead, and maybe they leave you some assets behind, and also right now you're old enough to kind of, you know, maybe go out and do something by yourself. So you're provided for, practically, in a way. But the image of this authority you had in your childhood is lingering with you like a ghost. And suddenly, when these people are no longer here, you find yourself alone with the naked truth of the destruction they have caused in your life and of what they have done to you. And you might find yourself alone with this truth in this moment, and those fears that you kept under control to just survive in this environment. Now that you are safe, without the abuse, they may just spill out. And it might feel overwhelming because it's a lifetime of hurt that you're being faced with. But the thing is that this is an unblocking thing. Like, you have popped the cork and the champagne is spilling, or whatever the liquid is spilling. It's more like vodka here. And this is good because you are being set free, pile 3. You have prevailed in some very karmic situation. Then there you have 6, that's 2 3s, that's like, again, more 3s. You have prevailed in some very karmic situation that might have gone on for incarnations, and I guess that you need guidance here to remind you that you are strong enough to go through this. But the way that I see this here is really to surrender to your fears. There is a necessity for emotional surrender. Because, you know, one of the ways of dealing with things is really submerging into this. And then when you surrender to those fears, I heard by yourself, I don't know why, somehow being alone plays a role here. If 12 house plan, if you have some Pisces or 12 house plans, then it makes sense. Surrendering yourself to those fears in solitude can be really enlightening. The thing is that, look at this King of Pentacles, is this scary figure, you know? So this really might be this kind of sick attachment thing where someone is really abusive towards you, and yet they provide structure in your life, pentacles, maybe even practical, financial, and so you don't know how to live without this sick presence because it has entered your programming. And you're gonna be liberated from that because the universe doesn't want you to, it doesn't want to see you like that, you know? It's going to really face you with being without this abusive influence, even if you're emotionally addicted to it. So yeah, like I said, really immerse yourself emotionally in those feelings of fear, and somehow they will guide you. Maybe even have like a North Node in Scorpio or the 8th house. Like it's something you're supposed to go towards. And you might, like I said, release some toxic yet maybe practically comfortable attachments to really immerse yourself in this depth. So yeah, this change might feel really scary to you because it can be sudden, it can be really big, but you need it. Like, this is really liberation for you. Pile 3, so embrace it when it happens. Try to embrace it even if it feels scary. This change is really good for you, Pile 3, because this is really talking like this was a very toxic environment here. With this 3 of Swords, it was really, with the 5 of Swords, it's really like a circle of toxicity. And you know what? This doesn't have to be such outright abuse. You don't have to be like physically beaten every day for things to be abusive. You just have to be around people who are wrong for you, who are not compatible with you, continuously. And this can really destroy you in this way. And yet you can feel lost when somehow it is removed from your life, the same way an addict is lost without the substance or whatever he's addicted to. But this is all this is, you know, an addiction, a dependence, a wrong sort of dependence. And you are being given freedom from that. So that's really good. I really feel this karmic kind of fate here, like you had little control over those events. So of course I guess you need the guidance to somehow go through this. But like I said, if I can give you any guidance, then like really surrender to your fears, because in your case they really are the guide. These people somehow might have really had spoken badly of you, or just it's like this little circle of hate. And you're caught in the middle. So if this is getting destroyed, this is, like I said, all for the best. I really see this male energy. It doesn't have to be male, but there's male energy figure. You know what this reminds me of? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of histories of abusers who have many of them have a tendency of making themselves look really good in the community. And they have this impeccable image. And then one day it's found out that this flawless businessman who was bringing cookies to the neighbors for the past 20 years has also been touching his underage daughter. And you're like, how? This is what I see here with this King of Pentacles. This is someone who can control through finances, through practical matters, someone who can even be successful financially, yet there is a rotten core to what's happening here. So you might feel like this was someone you depended on practically, but you're gonna have to be without that. You're gonna have to find that you have the strength to be like this within yourself without the toxic parts of it, you know? Because you do have the strength, and you're gonna discover it once this is gone, once the structure that this person provided is going to crumble. With this 3 of Cups, there can be some sort of addiction to compensate for the pain. So maybe you are, for example, financially provided and you are using something physical, like an addiction, like money, can be anything, can be substance addiction, food addiction, addiction to something else, to compensate for how miserable you felt inside. And I see this here being called out. Also, I think it's a warning, like let's say, for example, that someone you were attached to but was toxic dies, use this inheritance money well. You know, just don't use it to cover up your pain. Because I kind of see that this could happen, you know. That you could try to like overindulge to cover up your pain. Just some cancer, some hurt cancer energy. Like if the little Cancer was hurt here, that they would act out this way. Or Scorpio. This also may speak about you feeling bad because somehow this person with the King of Pentacles, they have this person has a good reputation, despite how much they could have hurt you, even unknowingly. They look bad on they look good on the outside, and somehow them being gone, this might feel like there was some prestige to it that you have lost, and you might miss the fake image that's going to be destroyed. But I feel like you're really trapped in some tight, intricate things here. This is a very trapped situation. This tower here is a blessing. It's a freaking blessing. This, it may feel bad because it might feel like you're losing something precious, but you're gaining something better. You're gaining yourself. You're gaining freedom. And you know, even if it doesn't look good as good in the eyes of people, of all people you should know that what's important is what's really happening under the surface, what's inside. And even if people don't approve of some things, as long as you're free and happy inside, that's what matters. So remember that, pile 3. And then we have the 6 and 9 of Cups. 6 still kind of pertaining to the abuse situation. So yeah, it's very ironic that this 6 would be here because this can speak about childhood. So this paired with the 3 of Swords, this is literally like childhood abuse or conditioning or absence of something. So you might feel childhood nostalgia paradoxically towards this abusive environment, because the twisted thing about the human psyche is that whatever happens to us in our childhood, we kind of get impregnated with it. And then, throughout adulthood, we try to recreate similar conditions that evocate those feelings of comfort and safety. The twisted thing is that when you had a hard childhood, you recreate toxic patterns, because this is what you are used to. So the irony here maybe is that even when this obstacle is gone, when this abuse is gone, you might find yourself missing it here. Which is why you have the Tower, because that's kind of what may be so hard for you to detach yourself from it by yourself. Because it's just so, it has just entered your emotions subconsciously in such a powerful way that you can't let go of it by yourself, which is why the universe is giving you a helping hand, more like a helping wrecking ball, but you know, sometimes that's needed. So I would not over-romanticize this toxic thing that was happening, even if there were some good things happening from there. Ultimately, it was painful, it was hurtful for you. And it is good for you to move forward. Like, even if you find yourself nostalgic about the bad times, let those fears guide you. Remember the fears that you have felt this whole time through the abuse, and let them be a reminder of how bad it was actually, that those negative things that you have had, they were caused to you by those very people that you now miss. Like, your fears really are your friends in your case, they really are your guides. They really are helping you, pile 3. And then we got a 9 of Cups, which is such a good message for you. This is why I said that you were meant for happiness also, pile 3, because this is that after everything that has befallen you, after such a hard time that you have had, you are going to be very successful. You're going to be emotionally fulfilled, but also practically, because I think that you might get, the one thing you might get from this toxic family home is maybe either some money or some practical skills that you have been taught despite the abuse. Like right now I'm thinking of Michael Jackson. Like, I don't know if you have if you heard of it, but you know, the guy, he was really good at what he did. Even if, you know, if you listen to a different kind of music, you can't deny his objective skills. And it brought him international fame, and even more fame after his death. It brought him recognition, so much money, so much fulfillment. But the way he earned his skills, his father was beating him every time he made a mistake, which is why he grew up to be such a perfectionist. So the way he gained those skills was very painful, and in no way that you should treat a child. But then he took this pain and transmuted this into excellence that then became his success. And this is the kind of success story that I see here. Of course, not everyone here is going to be a dancer and a performer, but since you're going to be free of the cycle of karmic pain, of karmic fears, you are going to be blessed both practically and emotionally. You are going to find abundance after this Tower moment in the absence of those very things that were destroying you. The only mistake you can make here is to not listen to your fears, to keep escaping from them, and over-romanticize what you have lost. Don't. It's good that you have lost it. It was a necessary experience for your soul, but it's good that it ended. And embrace it, pile 3. Thank you so much for staying with me for this reading. If you need a private reading, you guys, I feel like you might need that a lot to clarify on some things, because you all are going to have an individual situation. To some more extent, maybe more or less toxic, more or less difficult, depending on the person. So yeah, I offer private readings, and I invite you to check them out. Please leave a thumbs up under this video and subscribe to my channel for more regularly appearing tarot readings and spiritual videos. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hello, pile 4. Welcome to your reading. Let's see what cards we have for you today. We have the 6 of Swords in reverse. We have the 9 of Swords, so that's a lot of swords. The Sun. There we go. That's so nice. And the 10 of Pentacles. Okay, so what I can tell you guys straight away is the nature of your fears. It's so funny because this is the last and the 4th pile, and every group, every pile, the fears have a slightly different nature. They manifest in a slightly different way. Here, in your case, I see a small child hiding in a corner and afraid to go out, maybe of the closet in their bedroom. They're afraid of venturing forward. This dark closet has become a comfortable place for them. They're afraid of shining their light. They feel incapable to do that. So you really might have your fears might manifest as a way of being tested. You might be afraid that the fears you have might expose your weakness. And so the only way to deal with them is to do everything that you're afraid of. Like, luckily for you, this is not the most difficult spread or anything. This is like... Again, this is one of those piles where you have the power. And the power lies in you using them as a challenge. So it's like these fears, the fears are really like... The way these fears look to me, they're like, oh, you can't do that, ha ha ha. And then you say, well, you say, screw you, of course I'm doing it. This is the way to deal with your feels, pile 4. So in a way it's very simple, because the only way to deal with this is to straightforwardly just do whatever you're most afraid of. The biggest obstacle that I see here is a self-imposed blockage of, oh, what if I do this? It's like, really wanted to go on this roller coaster ride, but stopping yourself from it. If you know you want to, you know, unless you're like me and you puke when you go on those, in which case don't do it. But that's, you know, that's not all of us. You're more like this kind of person that really wants to do it deep down, but then their fears just really stop them from acting. So in a way, like I said, it can really be a self-sabotage, but it really feels like my thought here is like, this is so stupid, you can do it, come on. So this is a very encouraging pile in a way, because we got the Sun. This pile really says that you can do it, pile 4. You're capable whatever you are afraid of. With the 6 of Swords, there can really be this fear of crossing the bridge and venturing forward into the unknown. But it's all in your head. It's an intellectual fear. With the 6 of Swords in reverse, there really is this fear of venturing forward and traveling forward into the unknown. But that's exactly what you need to do to conquer these fears, in your case, pile 4. Like maybe even close your eyes and just, and just dive forward without thinking. With this Nine of Swords, I kind of feel like you might need some outside. It would be good for you to maybe like get a friend or something that can encourage you in the right direction. It's kind of what I'm feeling here. But you pile 4, when you conquer your fears, you shine. You shine the most. So this may be like something Mars related, because Mars is impulsive like this. You need this Mars-like impulsive attitude towards your fears. Maybe it makes aspect to the sun. Maybe your sun is in Aries in the 8th, something like this. Or your Aries sun makes like some aspect to your Pluto. You really shine when you let go. You really shine when you laugh fear in the face, because we have the sun here. So through being joyful, through being yourself and expressing yourself, the more you do that, the more safe, the less scary the world will seem. So in a way, this is a very physical, action-oriented, light-hearted way of dealing with your fears. Try not to overthink it too much with those swords. Like, just read, don't think. It's rare that I say this, but just completely don't think, dive head straight into it. Like with the 6 of Swords, you really might feel this kind of momentum build up. It's like, this is you at your lowest, really like just like putting yourself in this state of anxiety, being like, oh my god, what do I do? How do I do this? No, this is so scary. It's like, again, the longer the line is to this amusement park, the more scared you are. Don't allow it to be that long, because then you can just really, you can really imagine it worse than it is. And this 9 of Swords, I think, clarifies to us a little bit why things might be the way they are. I think maybe once when you were younger you risked something. You were naturally taking risks with the sun the way you should be. And maybe something bad must have happened, some sort of accident, like, it could be a minor accident. Maybe, you broke your mom's vase and she, whipped you for it because she wasn't happy. Like, I'm just, I'm kidding, but it doesn't have to be like something major, Could be, but it doesn't have to. And because of this, you kind of may have been afraid that by really like letting yourself shine, you may cause these kind of things, so you hide and you don't dare. But the thing is that this is only making you more unstable, because you plan for gain your stability also in a practical sense from your shine. So I think it's really time to get over this, whatever happened here in the past, which is why I guess you were driven to this pre-card, which is I was driven to give you this message, pile 4. This here really is a question of getting over it by just risking it, closing your eyes and going in blindly and shining yourself. I really see you as the conqueror of those fears, and as someone who finds stability from knowing that you have prevailed through them. So even if it was rough at the beginning, it's really going to end well for you, pile 4. I think this is the most optimistic of all the piles, with the most optimistic conclusion, and hey, that's great for you, pile 4, right? The biggest issue that I see here is you never getting out of this place. At the start, you're just really regressing back into whatever has happened here. Don't blame yourself. If there are some people who are bad apples in your garden and who are trying to hold you back, like, shine your light on them. Shine your light on them, because there's a practical abundance and practical stability that comes as a reward from overcoming your fears in your case, pile 4. It's like you doubt your own capability because of what happened here. Maybe you actually, screwed up once, but who doesn't? Forgive yourself for it. If this is what happened, nobody is perfect, That doesn't mean that you're always going to attract bad things. You only attract more bad things if you believe you attract them. But I think you're going to be fine ultimately, pile 4, because we got the sun. So this is a promise of you being fine. But really, like I said, dare to do it. I want to avoid using names in this reading, but there's just a certain famous actress, if I told you who that was, you know who that is, who has a very adventurous lifestyle. Not quite my thing, but they like it that way. And I saw once an interview with them when they said they got a job offer that was a challenge for them. It was new for what they were doing usually, and she said, it really scared me to do things in this format because I was not used to it. So I knew that I had to do it. And this is exactly the attitude that you need Pile 4. It's exactly this kind of, you know, challenging fate attitude that really is needed here. Now this actress that we talk about has a very healthy Mars and Aries energy, so this is where this daredevil comes from. But you need to unlock it in yourself, Black Pile 4. You need to find it. And I think that those recent events somehow may help you with it, which is why you're drawn to this reading if you're watching it around the time where I recorded it. But whenever you're watching this, now is the time for you to get this daredevil back. And you're really gonna be fine, and you're gonna be just so much more abundant than you think you'll be, Pile 4. So thank you so much for your time, Pile 4. Thank you for listening to this video. Please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, and if you want to, you can have a private reading with me. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. You'll be fine regardless, because yeah, we have the Sun and Ten of Pentacles. You will be stronger than ever if only you just let go of this and forgive yourself and understand that this is in the past. Thank you, bye.